Okay, well, welcome to part 3. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the timeline, and at certain points we want content to be here. So for example, we have our labels, we have our actions, we have our logo, titles. Let's have a layer here for content. And this would be things. We'll go into our properties and we'll change that to content or movie clips or whatever. And at a certain point, let's say artwork, when I go here, I want to show a bunch of artwork, and inside of that little movie clip I want to be able to navigate from frame to frame. So let's set that up. And what I'll do here is I'll just choose right there and insert a keyframe, right? Or F6, that's our shortcut. And I can put a movie clip in there. Now before I do that, I have to insert a new symbol of type movie clip. And let me just call this my art movie clip. Alright, so there's my art movie clip. And notice that I'm on a totally new timeline. It has its own little stage area here, or design area. I can still bring down guidelines. I still have my ruler and all of that. But I'm going to show you how to actually use this movie clip, put it on the stage, and access the guidelines that we have out already. Now the first thing I need to do is I need to import my pictures. So go to File, Import, and let's import them to the library. And I have them here on my desktop, 1, 2, and 3. Let's import them. Now I've already gone through and resized them, but I might have to resize them again. Now let me show you a shortcut to making sure that your stage, even though, see how I made this new movie clip? We're going to get out of the movie clip for a second, and I'm going to bring the art movie clip, making sure I'm on the right area, content layer, in the right spot. I'm going to bring this art movie clip to the stage. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, there's nothing in it. You haven't done anything. I know, but what I'm going to do is, by bringing it to the stage and then double-clicking on it to work on it, it will bring it up with this whole stage sort of grayed out in the background, so that as I work inside of the movie clip, I can place things so that they'll look perfectly on the stage where I want them. Does that make sense? All right, let's try it. Bring the art movie clip here. Notice that it filled the frames starting at our art label and then forward, because it's going to go here and stop. Now there's my movie clip and there's nothing in it, but if I double click on that, watch what happens. Let's edit the movie clip. That's just like double clicking. And now notice there's my stage behind it, sort of in the background. It's showing it as an overlay. So now what I'm going to do here is layer 1 is going to have, that's going to be my pictures. And I'm going to insert a new layer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some buttons on here. All right. And I might even have another layer, of course, for little things like actions in case I need to stop the timeline or tell it to go back to frame 1 or whatever. So this is very nice because now I know where my guidelines are from my main screen, and I can start putting my pictures up. So let's put my pictures here. Let's put one in frame 1. Okay. And now, even though I did resize them, they are a little big for what my design is here, so I'm just going to select, making sure that the height and the width are locked. See how they're unlocked? I want them locked so that if I change one, the other one changes automatically. Let's just go to 350. All right. And now this next frame, see that next frame there? I'm going to insert a blank keyframe. And the reason a blank keyframe is so that if I insert a keyframe, it'll copy what was in the previous frame over. I want to insert a blank keyframe and bring up my next picture. Line it up and resize it. Now you should resize these before you bring them in to your program. So let's insert another blank frame and let's bring up the next picture and resize it. And now notice, on frame 1 we have a picture, frame 2 we have a picture, frame 3. All right. So now if we just went back to our scene and you saw that at the artwork point it would have our picture. Now if we played this and we chose artwork, it's just going to cycle through that. And that would be just like showing an animation. But let's go ahead and see how we can control that. So now to control that, we would use some type of action, wouldn't we? Going to our actions library and choosing, let's say, the command stop. We would put a stop in there. So we could do that. So now it wouldn't do that. If we went to our artwork, it would just stay on the first frame. So what we need to create is some type of simple navigation mechanism that would say click to go to the next one, click to go to the next one, or click to go to the previous one. Well, it's real neat because we have some built-in buttons right here in our common library under buttons. And we can choose some really simple ones here. We have our classic playbacks. Let's see what we have in here. Let's see, playback. We have a back one for previous. Okay, why don't we'll use that. And what else do we have? Let's see here. We have a forward one. So let's put our back one on here. And let's put our forward on here so we can close out our window. And notice that it put an instance in our library for us. And you know what? Maybe these buttons don't necessarily go with our color scheme. Well, watch this. Let's edit this button in place. We'll take a look at it, and I'll zoom in here so you can see. If I edit that button in place, I can then go to the button and start changing some properties. So here in the upstate, I want that color, that fill color to be that. Let's take that guy and change its stroke color to that. And then on the overstate, maybe I'll take that middle, and instead of it being white, we'll fill it with this color so that it changes like that. And then maybe on the downstate, of course, let's go ahead and finish that up and change its stroke and fill where it's appropriate. All right. Then we don't have to change the hit state. So that's just coloring our button, changing it. Let's go back to our movie clip. Let's edit this one in place and do the same thing. Let's take its colors and adjust them to whatever we want, just to fit the theme of colors that we have. And then the overstate, we just have that to change. And in the downstate, we have a couple of things to change there. And this is a nice way to customize the buttons so that your buttons are all set. And let's go back and let's take a look. So there we go. Now that fits in better with the color scheme that I had. And what we're going to do here is for each one of these buttons, it's going to be very easy. We're going to insert a keyframe. Insert a keyframe, right? And what this is going to allow us to do is we're going to tell this button, when somebody clicks on it, to just advance it one frame. And if they click on this one, we're going to tell it to go back one frame. Isn't that neat? Let's do that. Let's program the next frame button first. So here we go. Let's take this button right there, and we're going to go into our window, our actions, and it's a button, so we have to remember to add the on event, release, and then in between the curly brackets, what type of an event do we want to do? Well, we want to go to the next frame. All right. And while we're here, leave that window open. Let's click on the previous button, and we'll tell it to do the same thing, but on release, we want you to go to the previous frame. All right. So that's all set. Now, just in all fairness, I don't want to confuse you. Now, that's programmed for that frame, but because we have different keyframes in here, I don't think that those buttons are programmed. So there's a couple of things we can do. One, we can just remove those frames like this, and then go ahead and insert a keyframe again, and now all those buttons are there, and then just turn that middle one into a keyframe. And the reason we're going to do that is because we want this first frame right here not to have the previous button, because there's nothing previous to it. Okay? And we want the last frame to not have the next button. And what that'll do, if we go back out to our scene and test our movie artwork, it will allow us to cycle through our pictures at the user's leisure. All right? Pretty neat. Now the next thing we would want to do is, let's say, now even though that was my 3D design work, I just put it in as artwork. But let's say at the 3D design work, let's look at the next type of example that would be very good for a portfolio. And that is to insert an animation. And this is very tricky. There's only a couple of steps that might throw you off, but it's simple as this. Watch this. I'm going to import an animation that I've created for my digital design into my library. And I have this on my network drive. And it's right here. And it's my soda animation. I'm going to import this. Now pay attention, because it's, where is your video file? It says it's on your computer. And we have to, now this might not be coming over in the video. That's what I'm talking this through. When I imported that, you may see just the normal screen. I don't know if it's showing this select video screen. But it just you just go ahead and say next, because it says the video file is on my computer. It's not from a server or anything like that on the internet. All right. Now, how would we like to deploy our video? If it asks that, we want to embed it in our SWF and play in the timeline. Select next, and then the next one is, how would you like to embed it? Well, by a symbol type embedded video. Select next, embed the entire video, and expand the timeline if needed. And what it will do is it will now encode it for use in Flash. We'll go ahead and select next, finish. It will run through an encoder. It will then put it in our library, as you see down here, Soda Animation AVI. I need to insert a new symbol called a movie clip. Let's call it my Soda Video Movie Clip. And I'm going to put my soda movie in here, and watch what it does. It'll expand automatically once it asks me, would you like to add the frames? Yes. And it does that. And all I need to do is, let's just say 350 here for our size. And I want to place this at the 0, 0, just so I know where it is. And now my animation will play. I come back out to my scene, and where do I want, when I click on the 3D design button, it's going to jump to here. I'm going to put a keyframe right there, so F6, or right click, insert keyframe, and I will take my soda, not the animation, because we don't want it to put a whole bunch of frames in here. We just want the video or the movie clip with the animation in there, and we'll put it right here. Well, actually, I'll center it up just a little bit. Right there. So now as I test it, the movie, when I select artwork, I get to go frame to frame, or previous frame to previous frame. And if I select 3D design, it jumps to the part right here, and it lets my movie play. And what's nice is, even though this movie, this timeline is being stopped right here, the animation is on its own timeline, and it can play independently. That is the power of the Flash movie clip.